please give us another 15 minutes, because what we are trying to do in the next 15 minutes is just connecting the dots between what our presenters before us just brought on stage, outlining to you what we are trying to achieve on behalf of our customers. And I've brought with me two substantial and great guys, so Nischal, our VP Engineering, and Thomas, our product guru, who knows insurance inside out. He's going to help us technically, and Nischal is then going to outline technically what's physically really happening under the bonnet, which I think is pretty interesting, because otherwise, it's just a couple of PowerPoint charts. So, so guys, before showing you what we're really doing in a short little demo, we thought I just want to bring everything a little bit into context. And I'd like to start with a very simple sentence, which is, the mission for our company is we want to empower insurance companies whenever they look at their claims management process to move from a process-driven towards a data-driven claims management process. Now, it's a very short sentence, but everybody who knows a little bit about insurance, and I'd like to refer back to Patrick, one of our beloved customers. That is not a straightforward, simple solution to that. But for those who are not necessarily working in insurance, process-driven basically means, that in the past and even today, many claims management processes are, one step after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, and after the other. I mean, that's basically how claims management is very often still done, in a very manual process, depending upon which line of business we are talking about. Now, when we talk about data-driven, the bold thinking that we have in mind, it's not about going through every single step, one after the other, but it's really about collecting as much data as possible at the very beginning, so that ideally, you can leave out some intermediate steps and jump from one to third, just because that's the most critical next decision to take. And all of that based upon data, whereas in the past, insurance companies tried to collect as few data as possible, because it was always very costly and related to a lot of manual work. And that's the fundamental change that today can be achieved with the help of AI, and that's clearly our mission. Now, it's getting boring talking about the disruptors that we already know, like Lemonade, that are playing in a niche, but they have a very clear commitment to deliver an outstanding service, ideally immediately. Or Penang, which is a really impressive full-service player in China. And at the same time, we all know that companies like Amazon and others are working in parallel on insurance products. So this is not about making us scared, but it's more about, hey, that there are players out there already today, and others are preparing themselves to Amazonize the way how claims are being managed today and especially in the future. And that's where we think we can really provide support to insurance companies, by the way, as well as to insurtechs, which are also part of our customer base, to automate this process and deliver superior customer service. Now, if I go only one layer underneath, so what is it that Omnis is doing? So it all starts with the chair number one, where from any type of communication that an insurance company is having with its customers, we collect as much data as possible. So to give you a number, out of a typical car claim, in average, we extract 60 to 100 data points, depending upon the communication, the documents provided, etc. And now, with this amount of data, you can leave out a couple of steps, and you can really focus on what's the next decision to take. And on top of that, what you can do is, with this amount of data, you don't only have a big volume of data within the single claim, but you can also take a look at it horizontally across all claims that are out there, and you can start building your own data insight, putting all this data together, and you come up with average labor costs, material prices, broken down geographically, etc. And you realize the power of data that you can work with. And last but not least, you can then use this also of course, to decision support the whole system, you start to train the AI engine based upon historical decisions already made and use that as a recommendation for your next possible step. And if you think this through, then suddenly you turn your insurance company into a really customer-centric, customer-focused type of company that is driven by data and not the big volume of steps and process steps that you originally had in mind while setting up your claims management process. And that's in a nutshell what we're doing. Now, only one step below before I show you how that really looks like. So basically, it's all about the customer and how an insurance company works with a customer. And basically, the customer typically provides big volumes of very different types of documents, communication streams, whatever. And our technology enables insurance companies and insurtechs to understand, to collect, read all that information independent of the inbound communication. That might be email, that might be even attachments within emails, that might be handwritten text, like a European accident form and others. We just read the stuff, we understand the stuff, and we can then use it, to really focus on the next decision to be made for a typical claims agent. So the claims agent is predominantly focusing on the next decision instead of extracting additional data points to come up with the next step. And then suddenly the whole system turns around really to be customer focused. A claims agent has a holistic view on the overall situation of the claim and can make a decent decision based upon data and facts, which is pretty cool. Now, so much about PowerPoint. We've brought with us a small insight into how our product works. And I'd like to hand over to Thomas, our technical guru. And here, what you can see here is a snapshot of our claims dashboard. And what you can see here, line by line, is different claims that have touched and hit our system. All those claims have already been automatically classified, triaged, assigned to the respective lines of business. For this demo, we put all different kinds of lines of business into one bucket, which is fine, I think. And what you can also see on the very right-hand side is, it's really about what is the next decision to be made by a claims agent. Now, on the left-hand side, you can also see that these claims are at different stages. So you have some with the first notice of loss and others at the resolution stage. So let's take a deeper look into two of those. And let's take a first example as a first notice of loss. So Thomas, let's move into a first notice of loss. In this instance, we are talking about an F0 of a typical car accident. The trigger for this first notice of loss in this instance was a European car accident statement. So most of you will know that that is a handwritten form. And that's basically our heritage, that's where we're coming from. So what we've been doing in this instance, or what we are doing, is we extract all the handwritten text, we correlate the information, we find out who of the two parties is our customer. Is there a valid policy against this customer? And if so, it's displayed accordingly. Is there a valid coverage against that? And if so, the system comes up with a recommendation, what to do as a next step. And in this instance, the recommendation, as you can see here, is, well, okay, there's no reason not to create a claim and to trigger the subsequent process. It might also be that the system says, well, no, we need further information, there's something inconsistent or it doesn't work. But in this instance, the recommendation was differently. Now let's take a closer look into another one, which is at resolution stage, which is a little bit more complex. In this instance, we've brought with us an example of pipe burst, which is one of the most cumbersome, most manual, by the way, most loss-making type of processes in insurance, as we all know. And what you see here, it's resolution stage. So it's only the decision to be made whether to approve the final claim or whether there's still any information missing. And obviously, the system recommends to make an approval based upon different elements provided by the end customer. So what you can see here is the end customer has already provided all relevant documents. So there was a quote. There was, of course, the first notice of loss before that. There's even an invoice. And, on a superficial level, it all looks fine. And even the partners that we integrate with, like Friss from Friction, Friss says, well, okay, it doesn't look fraudulent, the case. And the other partner, like Twinks, is saying, well, hey, the case has already been fixed. The system is telling us that there's no leakage anymore. So both information are really valid, for the final recommendation whether to approve or not to approve the system. Now, what you can also see in here is there's a minor discrepancy between the quote and the overall the invoice, and it's important for the claims agent then to be able to look into this detail and being able to look into the invoice respectively into the quote. And he or she can do that at any time. Click on the invoice, get into the details, find out why is there discrepancy, and make a decent and qualified type of judgment, which I think is pretty cool. So at the very end, it's always down to the claims agent to make a qualified type of decision based upon data, based upon facts, and he or she can do so because he has a holistic view of the overall situation with all data accumulated in one single dashboard that connects directly to the legacy applications, independent whether the insurance company has or a re-platform is still running on a legacy platform. Now, up till now, it's all PowerPoint, but I think it's important that you also understand, well, what's really happening in the background, where is the AI really hitting the system? And at that point, I'm going to hand over to Nischal, outlining to you how it really works.
Okay. We've been hearing all day about, in the morning now, claims, everything. So let's have a little bit of fun with AI and understand what's powering the entire system. Matt, can I get the...
Yeah. Sorry.
No problem.
It's the green button.
Okay. The one above?
The green one. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So what we've built for the product that you saw right now is the Cognitive Claims Advisor. We've built an omnious AI platform that actually powers this. So what does this mean for an insurance company? What it means is that you could take the models that we've built, custom designed it for solving the problem in the insurance industry for automation of claims and train it in your ecosystem. And you do not require data scientists to do this. The idea is to empower business users to start using this system to actually do automation of claims. Now, let's take the first notice of loss that Martin was mentioning right now. Now in this, normally to the Cognitive Claims Advisor, we receive a communication. It could be through anything. And first we have to actually identify what's there in this packet of communication. Is there an European accident form? Is it an email? What is in the attachment? What do we have to do with it? How does it even get into the idea of someone to say, okay, we have to create a claim? This is where we have a deep learning classification algorithm that's a combination of computer vision and natural language processing, which is looking at all of the information that's coming in, scanning it, understanding it, and saying, guys, there is an EAS form in this, and it looks like we have to start an FNOL process for this customer. And once that's done, the claims adjuster is given the power to approve, okay, do we start the process? And if I want to start the process, what do I have to do next? Take, for example, the FNOL itself. Yes, it's cool that we've been able to understand it's a European accident statement. It's also extremely cool that we have state-of-the-art handwriting recognition system to extract. But this doesn't solve the problem. And Patrick was absolutely right in this. It's, you start doing small things, but it doesn't lead you to automation of claims. So now, as a claims adjuster, you need more information to go ahead. So what do we do here is, we've written a mapping algorithm that takes in not just the features that's present in the extraction and the information that we have, but it also connects via process manager and RPA to legacy systems to extract all of the relevant information for the person that's there in the document. Now on the panel here, you can see that from the European accident statement and things like first name, VIN, and all of the other details that were mentioned, we were able to get what's the policy, what does the overall coverage look like, and how do we proceed with this. And on the right, of course, with our handwriting recognition system, we've been able to extract all of the relevant information for the claims adjuster to move forward in order to create a claim. Now this is cool. So we've just started the process and we've created the claim. Now, just before creating the claim, there is a very important step, that's the plausibility check. And this is where, again, it's not just about having AI, it's not just about running these models, but it's also understanding what the business truly needs. And this is where we bring in the power of analytics. So we have statistical models that actually look at the values that are being present and give the claim adjuster the power to say, okay, what's the risk profile of the customer based on the history of data that we have for this customer in the system, and also look at other metrics such as coverage medians, the damage that's coming in based on the vehicle type, what are we looking at? And these are, of course, a few of the metrics. We have a lot more that's running under the hood. Now, once the plausibility is done, we're good to go and start to initiate a claim. Now, what does the process for resolution look like? And Martin here was talking about a pipe burst case. So we do the same thing, initially about understanding information and trying to understand the relationship and extract all of the information in the downstream systems. But what we also do here, and that's what makes the Omnius AI platform powerful, is we know what we're doing when it comes to the insurance industry, but we also know that there are other partners who can do fraud detection like Frisk that's already integrated into our platform. And we also have twins through which we know, based on the information that's provided, if this claim could actually be resolved based on the action that's taken or someone has to intervene. Okay, now you go through the entire process and we are at the place where we want to be, that the claim's actually automated. And that's amazing. And this is where we are getting at right now. And I hand it over to Martin.
To me, it's only to conclude. So I hope. That's too early, guys. I just wanted to wrap up, and hopefully we've tried to summarize in only 15, 20 minutes, what it really means to run a data-driven type of insurance, and which transformative power lies in the application of AI if done rightly. So we're here to support you guys on that, and I think we have the best team in the world, so talk to us and enjoy your break. Thank you very much.